Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Engineering Concepts. Today, we are going to talk about GNSS constellations. In the last video, I talked about the very basics about the global navigation satellite system, in which I talked about different constellations. But today, it's a video from the School of GNSS, in which we try to teach very basics to advanced level related to the space and navigation system. This is a very brief video about the different constellations which we are having today. So as the topic is satellite navigation constellation, so it's written here clearly that it's global and regional. So it means there are two types of the constellations, global and regional. Let's have a look and let's discuss. Okay, so there are two types of satellite navigation constellations. One is global coverage constellations, that is also known as global constellation, and another constellation is regional coverage constellations, or in other words, we call it regional constellations. So, as name suggests, global coverage constellations are those constellations, those number of satellites which covers the whole Earth, whole world. So these are the constellations, or these are number of satellites which provides global navigation and timing, positioning and navigation and timing services throughout the world. Okay. In contrast, the regional constellations are those constellations which covers only particular areas around the Earth. So these are dedicated particularly for particular region based navigation. So they provide navigation signals to the particular regions. We will look at what are the constellations, which are the number of satellites covers the whole world, and which number of the satellites are designed for only regional purpose. If you haven't watched my last video, which covered the multi-GNSS constellations, like from different satellites from different countries, how many number of satellites are in different constellations, it's in previous video. So please watch it and then we will proceed here from. Okay, so global satellite navigation constellations. There are four constellations that are known as global satellite navigation constellations. So these satellites basically covers the whole Earth. GPS, it's from America, United States of America. Galileo from Europe, GLONASS from Russia, Beidou from China. So GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, and Beidou, these are constellations which covers the whole Earth. So the number of satellites in these constellations are designed, the orbital planes are designed in such a way that they try to cover the whole Earth. So they continuously gives PNT services at each point of the Earth. Okay, let's have a look at how many number of satellites, how many orbits are there, what are the period and the repeatability of these constellations. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at this table, which provides the brief overview of these constellations, which covers the globe. Okay, so for GPS, we are having the number of satellites 24 plus 6. Okay, and this MEO is like the medium Earth orbit. So there are different number of orbits. I will be talk about the different orbits in the next video, but for now I'm going to give you a brief overview. There are different number of the orbits. This MEO is medium Earth orbit. It means it has a medium distance related to Earth. Another orbit, which is the new orbit, LEO, low Earth orbit, which is a similar distance related to Earth. Then geostationary, inclined geostationary orbits. There are different orbits in which the satellites revolve around the Earth. For GPS, the GPS satellites are in the MEO orbit. Similarly, for for Galileo, MEO, for Beidou, 24 satellites are in MEO, 3 satellites are in IGSO orbit. So IGSO is inclined geosynchronous orbit, and 3 satellites in geostationary orbit. And for GLONASS, we are having a 24 satellites in MEO orbit. Okay, so orbital planes. orbital planes are those planes in which satellite revolve around the Earth. Okay. For GPS, there are six orbital planes. There are six orbital planes. For Galileo, there are three. For Beidou, three. For Glonass, three. So GPS have higher number of orbital planes as compared to other constellations. Okay. Orbit altitude. The altitude related to Earth. Okay. So the altitude of orbit for GPS is 20,200 kilometer. For Galileo, it's 23,222 kilometer. 21,528 kilometer for Beidou, and for GLONASS it's 19,100 kilometers. Inclination is always measured in degree. Okay, so the inclination angle is related to the Earth. It is designed in such a way that it tries to cover the whole world. So mostly the 55 degrees set for the east satellites that it tries to cover to the whole Earth. Okay, that's why you have seen that GPS at 55 degree, Galileo 56 degree, Beidou's 55 degree, and GLONASS 64.8 degree. So they have a different constellations, different, there's a little bit different inclination, which try to focus on particular point to cover the whole world. Okay. The period is the time duration or time taking for one satellite to complete one orbit. Okay, so for GPS, it's 12 hours. For Galileo, 14 hours, 4 minutes, 45 seconds. And for Beidou, it's 12 hours, 53 minutes. And for GLONASS, 11 hours, 15 minutes, 44 seconds. Repeatability is the number of satellites to cross the same point related to the Earth after several orbits. So for GPS, it takes 1 day, and for Galileo, it's 10 days, for Beidou, 7 days, and for GLONASS, 8 days. So these are basic overview of the number of constellations, and this table is particular for the global satellite navigation constellations, which are 4 in total. Okay, so now let's talk about a little bit about the regional constellations. So regional constellations are those constellations which covers only particular area in the Earth. Okay, so number one regional constellation is coming from the India, which is the NAVIC. It's like only covering the India. Okay, so these are satellites are designed in such a way that it covers or targets only the India and maybe the surroundings of the Indian region. QZSS Japan. So QZSS is satellites that look at orbit which tries to covers only the Japan and sometimes the part of the China and and so on. So these are the satellite constellations which covers or try to cover the region related to the Japan and surroundings. The KPS Korean Positioning System is from the South Korea. This is a new constellation system which is still about to launch. So it is trying to cover the South Korea as well, and their orbital planes are designed in such a way that it tries to cover only South Korea and their surrounding regional for their regional purpose only. Okay, so there are three in total, which are the regional constellations so far, but other countries are still trying to do so, but still there are only three. Okay, so let's talk about the table, how many number of satellites, orbital planes, orbit altitude, inclination, and the period. For NAVIC, it's like 3 satellites are in geosynchronous orbit, 4 in geostationary, and 4 satellites are about to launch. Like total, it's like 4, 4, 8, 11. So total will be 11, but now only the 7 satellites in the sky, 4 satellites are scheduled to be launched. For QZSS, it's 4 satellites in quasi-zenith orbit and 1 satellite in geostationary. And Korean posing satellites, 8 geostationary or geosynchronized orbit, but these satellites are going to be launched. There's no satellites at the moment. Orbital planes for the NAVIC is 2, for Japan 1, for KPS it is scheduled to be 2. Altitude 36,000 kilometer, 32,000 kilometer for Japan, QZSS, and 36,000 kilometer for Korean positioning system as well. Inclination 29 degree, 43 degree, 50 degree, and the periods 23 hours, 56 minutes, 23 hours, 56 minutes, 23 hours. So it's same for all these regional constellations. So basically, in our view, there are two types of constellations. One is global and the regional. In global, we are having the four constellations. One is GPS, Galileo, Beidou, Glonass, which covers the whole world. And for the regional constellations, we are having from India, NAVIC, from Japan, QZSS, from Korea, Korean Positioning System. Okay, which try to cover only the particular regions of the Earth. So this video was all about the constellations. In the next video, I will talk about the more orbits and then the signals and so on. Thank you so much for watching.